Well, now it is time to move on to our next tech talk on Alibaba Cloud Data Intelligence Ecosystem empowers enterprise data-driven transformations. This session introduces Alibaba Cloud Big Data and AI portfolio and how the enterprises benefit from the solution capabilities for their data-driven digital transformation journey. Well, we're joined by Sijukumar Kumaran, the Director, Data Intelligence Services, Alibaba Cloud, Singapore. Siju is an experienced digital transformation leader with more than 18 plus years of experience in solution architecture, consultancy, and project delivery in enterprise services and strengthening business opportunities through strategic technology planning. With this, I'd now like to humbly invite Siju on the stage and screen. Thank you so much, Siju, for joining us today.
Hey, thank you, Pavna. Thank you.
So with this, the stage and screen is all yours. We'll just request you to switch on your camera as well so that we can start with the session. Thank you, Siju.
Perfect. All set. Thanks. Hope I'm audible and visible as well, right?
Yes, Siju. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Pavna. That's a good introduction. Good morning, everyone. As Pavna said, my name is Siju. I work for Alibaba Cloud Data Intelligence Services. Today, next 20 minutes, we're going to discuss about a typical data intelligence ecosystem and how Alibaba Cloud, help you to do that in an enterprise scenario. Okay, let's look at my agenda today. So it's a 20-minute session. So we briefly touch upon these topics today. I have a very few, I think one slides about why data intelligence, then what could be your desired target state as an enterprise. And then we'll talk about some technology and solutions, what especially we focus on what Alibaba offers to you. And finally, I conclude with some of the takeaway summary points for you. Okay. Let's move forward. Okay. So when we talk about enterprise,
Siju, I'm sorry to cut you in. We can't see the presentation on the screen. Would you like to do the screen share once, if that's okay?
Sorry, 1 second.
Yeah,
go back.
Siju. So ladies and gentlemen, just allow us a moment. We're at the World Cloud Show Jakarta. We're just getting on the presentation bit sorted, and we're going to be having Siju live once again, resuming with his presentation. Well, we hope everything is going great at the World Cloud Show Jakarta. Do keep networking with one another and also keep checking my chats while these sessions are on. Keep posting in your questions. Yes, Siju, we can see your presentation now. With this, I'd request you to resume your presentation. Thank you.
Is that my video and audio visible as well?
Yes, your audio is fine. If you just, now perfect. Now everything is,
Okay.
Thank you.
I think so. Let's see start. Sorry for that small delay. Okay, let me just minimize this first of all. How do I do this? Let's put it here. So basically, this is my agenda today. Okay, so I have 4 different topics today. One is we start with why data intelligence. Then, as an enterprise, what could be your desired target states? Then we talk about some of the building blocks and services, what Alibaba Cloud, for this transformation journey. Then I'll end up with some of the takeaway points there. So let's talk about how data empowers enterprise. I understand most of the audience here have a clear clarity on this particular thing. Let's start our discussion there. Let's make sure that we're on the same page. And when we talk about data-driven transformation, the first thing probably comes in the mind is, see the data in a consolidated way. So basically, something like a dashboard, right, with all your business insights in one place. So that could be one of your, starting point to start with. So basically, data to build a common vision. It consolidate all your data. you decide what data you want to really display, or to reach to your right stakeholders. You put them into the right nice dashboard. That could be one of the starting points. Then think about how the data can optimize the operations, right? In that way, let's say if you know that, okay, something happens to your sales during this period, last year, probably you take a right, a measure to take care of that kind of opportunity, right? So basically, data can tell you a lot of things which can help you to optimize your operation. And furthermore, which we all live in this, the applied artificial intelligence world where you talk about smart system, your autonomous drive, autonomous automobiles, any decision you take, with the help of artificial intelligence, right? So for example, you have personalized recommendation that the machine will tell you what needs to do to take the right business decision. Or lastly, probably this could be as well, you can put in your list, right? So data to create a new business. What does this mean? So that means you have a lot of data with you, a lot of hidden insights in the data that can tell you more opportunity for business. You can think about new business ideas by analyzing the data as well. This is one of them. So a few of them, you have n number of reasons why you think about a data empowers enterprises. We'll touch base some of them, but today's talk more towards, on the technology architecture side. My assumption is, as an enterprise, you have your architectural vision, you have your business re-engineering architecture vision, and then you think about how you really want to go further with your transformation. That's where we are more focusing, going further. So what could be challenges? If you name it, it's there. I just put some of them, it doesn't matter. But let's think about isolated system. You have a lot of business systems, right? Which are not connected in that way you really want it. It's all isolated in teams. And you have different data formats. It's a very, very common thing. You have huge data volume, right? That's very, very common with enterprises, right? And then complexity integrate. How do you integrate this different data systems together? What kind of complexity you're going to face it? And then the duplication of data. That's again the data. Talk about deduplications or consolidations or golden source of data, whatever you name it, right? A lot of all that complexity. If you name it, it's there. Diversity solution. How do you monitor all your data pipelines? How do you get the time to market at the right time? That's very important. It depends on your enterprise business, right? Let's say you need to have a transformation journey, which makes the journey easier and reduce the time to market so that you can capture the market on top of your competitors, right? And then right technology platform, probably this is where I'm probably more interested there. Yes, we do have a technology platform. Then you need to look for a right technology platform, accompany with this journey. And of course, the algorithm, when you talk about the right algorithm, performance in terms of performance, in terms of data quality and governance, very, very important. So you have a lot of data with you. How do you identify the metadata of data? How do you catalog this data? How do you make sure that your data which is coming in is the right format, right quality, right? So that's very, very important, right? So it's all about data governance. And how do you, when you talk about data-driven transformation, most people think, it is something which is happening offline. No, may not be, right? You have a lot of real-time and it is going to happen. And then, the repeatability is very important. We all live in an agile world, right? The things have been changing every day, every second. Think about, your behavior of a customer, right? Those customer behavior is changing every time. That means you should have a transformation journey that should have the right agility in place, right? And it should have a repeatable nature. That means you should be able to repeat this every now and then with respect to the change of the data and create the right result for. One of them, if you name it, it's there. As I said again, it's a lot of challenges in this world. So we need to look for, how do you overcome some of these challenges? May or may not be in my presentation, but you need to really understand this fact. It's very, very important for you. Okay. So let's talk about a cloud-based AI-driven business decisions. It's a $1 million term, right? So maybe let it make it simplified. Here I put Alibaba in the context here. It's how you really plan your data-driven transformation journey in the cloud. Some of them, right? could be. Some of them is very important. For example, if you look at this picture, tell you so many things, right? Some of them could be, so when you start with, it's your optimize your baseline, right? Basically the fundamental thing, your cloud infrastructure. That means you move your business systems into the cloud. I'm not talking about what cloud offers you here, which I'm assuming that you might be knowing it, but it's fundamentally you look for cloud for multiple reasons. Your computing workload is in the cloud, your data workload in the cloud for various reasons. And not only for the capex reason, right? It could be for innovation, it could be for your repeatability, it could be for maintainability, it could be for your efficiency and robustness as well, right? So then the next thing, probably you need to integrate your business units. When I say integrated business units, it could be integrating the data from a business unit. Then you think about, how do you derive the insights from this data from consolidated business unit? I mean, the message is very, very simple. If you look at it, the enterprise business value we keep on the left side, and what's the capability which we offer on the right side. I mean, you may not need to think about only from the Alibaba context. It could be valuable and significant for any kind of providers or vendors here. The bottom line is, I want you to understand the real significant phases when we do the data-driven transformation. So the core value of we provide is to keep up with evolutionary trend of enterprise digitalized transformation. That means we work with enterprises to make this journey happen, right? And then little more further, it's a collaborative engagement model, right? Because if you look at it, your business scenarios, business unit, business stakeholders, your IT team, and we engage with the right partners, right? And then with you utilizing all the capabilities we have, our industry solution services, our industry solution team, our data intelligence team, our verticals of business, and for example, retail, finance, logistics, all of those, right? I mean, just again, it's a collaborative, result-oriented engagement with, for example, in this case, Alibaba Cloud and the partner, the right partner, work closely with customer and business society. So bottom line again, this could be something which you look for, right? You need to have a right collaboration to achieve this complex journey. It's not only collaboration, right? You need the right capability from the vendors, who are they represent from, right? That exactly going to talk about today, okay? And then let's when we so the context here is, as an enterprise, you have an architecture vision, you have an architecture goal, you have a strategy set in place, and you come up with your business architecture. That means how you really see the target state of business. Then you think about your data architecture, application architecture, technology architecture. Here I'm combining those three of the technology aspects here, but not in a granular level, very high level. So it's a desired target state. If I want to simplify this entire, the vision, right? Probably I would like to see something like that. This is a business system, irrespective business. And today I'm not going to talk about any specific business here. It could be a media company, it could be a financial enterprise, it could be a retail company, it could be a manufacturing company, whatever it is, right? Your business systems. And then you consolidate the business system under a unified data platform. That's very important. So when you talk about your data lake or data warehouse, it's a $1 million statement where you really consolidate and in a single place consolidate your data. And then you need something to take out the insights from this unified data platform. It could be your AI analytics platform. And then you definitely need a visualization platform, which you really want to display the right information to the right stakeholders. And more importantly, so once you have this in place, all this should be in a decoupled way. You don't want to really tight couple with the entire ecosystem. So that means the insight which is coming in from this platform should be a decoupled way. Why an API, for example? We have, let's say, for example, typically if you look at customer analytics case, you have probably segmentation, you identify the preference of the customer. You probably want to recommend them what they want based on the preference and segmentation, right? Could be your business insights. And then these business insights needs to propagate back to your channel. It could be a mobile app, it's a website, it could be social media, it could be your offices, it could be your call center, whatever it is, right? So an API ecosystem. And end of the day, why do we do this? It's all for your customer, right? Doesn't matter. Just put some of the labels here. Doesn't matter. How do you? The bottom line is to make sure that you understand the customers, whether it's a new customer or existing customer, doesn't matter. You really want to make them stay back with you. You really want them to happy with your service. That's all reason why you're doing it. But the bottom line is you want to increase your revenue, having more customers in the place. Right? This is simplest way of recommendation putting here. It's a very simple thing. I understand most of you guys know about this block diagrams as well. Let's go further. So let's talk about, let's go in bit more detail there. Okay, let's if it is an enterprise data intelligence ecosystem, what all components you really want to see there, right? Irrespective of the vendor platform you use, irrespective of the tools and technology you use. So all starts from your data sources, right? Because there's a lot of data you have. The data could be in multiple formats. It could be your transactional databases, right? Your business system have the data in the transactional databases. Your business system, a lot of log files, out of APIs, files, and message stream. So all this data can come to a consolidated form, either real time or we call change data capture. Whenever the data changes there, it can come over here, or it could be offline things as well, right? So basically the first thing probably you're going to discuss about a data lake. Previously people call about data model, data warehouse. Now all the raw data comes into the place. It's called data lake. You want to process this data in various formats, right? And this process data needs to go into a process result for further access. That is what you're seeing it here, right? And then your analytics could be in multiple form. It could be your normal analytics, right? It could be your data science or predictive or machine learning or deep learning kind of analytics. All this data here, once you have data which is coming in your reporting data store, operational data store, you really want to expose this data through a dashboard or BI reporting scenarios. And also, you really want an API ecosystem to take this insights out from this, data as well. All this data is going to be, and the data governance is very, very important. Whenever you look for a platform vendors, you really understand that data governance is very important. It's a data map or data catalog or data quality. Or how do you monitor the workflow, the data security, right? It's very, very important. All this are feeding down to stakeholders in various formats. Another thing, if you look for a cloud, one thing probably your interest is cloud native, serverless, fully managed. That means you don't necessarily have your underlying resource to purchase separately. A big data AI ecosystem, which probably look for. So these components are really, really important for your enterprise data transformation journey. Let me translate these components into an Alibaba ecosystem. For example, maybe I'll touch base. I think this slide is not necessary here, but still a typical data science process. I'll quickly go through it. How exactly a typical data science process looks like, right? So you have a business problem and define a business problem need to map to a data science problem. And then you do your data preparation, you do your exploratory data analysis, and then you do the real modeling and evaluation, right? If you look at the timeline here, 80% of the time, you are actually doing the data preparation, and 20% of time, you're actually doing the analytics right here. So the most important part, why I put the slides here, you know, right platform to do this in agile way, in a repetitive way. That's what I really want to show you today. Okay. And then I just want to show familiar with you some of the building blocks and services which Alibaba Cloud offers, with whatever explained earlier. So the bottom line is the computing engine. So when I say computing engine, that's a hardcore of any data transformation, right? We have multiple computing engines. One is we call Match Compute. Match Compute is an offline data computing engine, which is a proprietary computing engine developed by Alibaba, which is one of our backbone of our Alibaba e-commerce applications and business, right? The next, we have Apache Hadoop compliant Elastic MapReduce. It's typically a managed Hadoop platform in Alibaba. And we do support Flink-based real-time computing. If you know the company called Viverica, they used to have the representing the enterprise Flink. Alibaba took over the company. Now it is a real-time computing software of Alibaba is from Viverica platform. So this is the bottom line. So most of the time, you may or may not worry about this computing engine, but most important, you may worry about the development platform. We do provide a one-stop development platform, all your big data requirements, all your data intelligence requirements. That's what we call DataWorks. You can visualize DataWorks as a big data pipeline platform, or say which IDE platform for all your development needs. And then we offer your data science requirement. We have platform for AI, which is for specifically for this DLC on machine learning platform, right? So both this platform, this sits on top of this computing, right? And then which allows you to do your data transformation easier, flexible, right? And then you have your data created, your results have been done, which is ready to serve. When I say ready to serve, you are expecting that a faster response. You're expecting an interactive analytics, right? That is why we have a tool called Hologris. I don't, this session, I'm not expecting you to remember this tool name. The more important fact is what these blocks represent. You really need a platform which give you this kind of flexibility and facility. That's very important. And then you can expose this data as an API. You don't need to create, a program. You don't need to procure a server for the API. We have data service API. It's a managed service. Similarly, you can expose your model, which is developed via APIs as well. We do have multiple API platform, both your data insights as well as the model, which is trained and evaluated model, right? And then not only that, we have many more. We create a lot of business-friendly services which are ready to use, right? For example, we have a decision engine. A decision engine is actually real-time business rule execution engine, which allows you to execute business rules. A complex business rule. You can define the business rule here. You can execute the business rule here, which can utilize the underlying building blocks of Alibaba Cloud, whatever explained here. Whatever the analytics you created, you can use it there. I have a reference architecture, which I'll show you later on that. So we do have a recommendation engine. You don't need to develop a recommendation engine using our machine learning platform. If you really want to use our platform, that means it's a ready to use platform, which you only need to feed down the data, which gives you the right recommendation for you. It could be for your, media enterprise. It could be for your, the retail industries, anything. So actually, we have customized for media industry and retail industry specification, but you could potentially use it for it. At the same time, you could develop this recommendation engine using our platform as well, right? And then we have eKYC service. Especially in this world, electronic KYC, know your customer is very, very important. You could just show your face to a camera, show the ID cards to a camera, and then we can identify that, fulfill the KYC, the process, right? That is one of the offers. Then we have intelligent speech synthesis. That means you can identify voice, you can translate back, right? Voice to text and text to speech as well. And then we have classic image search and image identification, and much more than we have a real-time dashboard scenarios as well. There's so many solutions out there. So why I mentioned here is the building blocks which you see below here, which allows you to do your transformation by writing your implementation. But if you're keen to use our services, ready services, yes, feel free to do that. You don't need to create your program, but end of the day, behind the scene, it's being used the same building blocks. So that means it's being used the same building, the algorithm is refined, algorithm is getting refined, all of this for you. Okay. This is the very simplified way of building blocks for data intelligence ecosystem. If you go further, I have a bit more detail there. Actually, it's too much for this session. I quickly go through. If you get to know something, it's great. Okay, so what I want to show is whatever I explained to you earlier. So these are the major components. If you go into a bit more granular there, right? Your source systems, this is Alibaba Cloud native, fully managed serverless data and AI ecosystem. This is your consumers, this is your management and governance. You have a lot of data coming in. And then data injection, your data lake, data processing, data warehouse, your ML or DL, your data servicing can play something like this. Okay, this session probably too much to remember this name, but at least I want you to understand about this particular verticals, and you need to place the right components as vertical for based on a business requirement. In my case, I'm putting many of the components here, DataWorks I'm putting OSS and Max Compute I'm putting. So basically structured and unstructured data. We have a lot of programming paradigms, and then you can serve the data as like that. Okay. So basically, I'm not going to details here. The most important is, let me keep this diagram here. The most important is your source data systems. It needs to go through multiple phases during your transformation journey. It requires right building blocks, right? So when you say a data lake, you definitely need to store structured data and unstructured data. That's why we have our OSS, which is called a file storage. Our match compute table is nothing but similar to your your HDFS data storage, right? So you have similar to that. Then we support multiple computing. You can either choose for your open source ecosystem based on Apache Hadoop, or you could be stored based on Match Compute, or you could store for Apache Flink based real-time compute. All this are managed by our single umbrella, which is called data work orchestration. That's a key point here. So basically, whatever you see here, it's not tightly coupled, but it's under the same umbrella of data work orchestration. We have a lot of governance functions there. And then all this can be propagated back to your stakeholders via APIs. We support multiple levels of APIs. It could be your, it could be your model, trained model, evaluated model, could be a data insight, or it could be a reports and the real-time dashboard that as well can send it to your stakeholders via an URL. It does not require Alibaba cloud connectivity to access the data via the reporting URL. That's very important. And lastly, but not least, we do have encryption mechanism. So when you talk about enterprises, the data security is very, very important. If you look at Indonesia, we do have data centers, right, along with one of our competitors. But then the data encryption, we do support data encryption and data rest data transit as well. But you can bring your own encryption key and encrypt all this data sets here as well. You don't rely on Alibaba cloud encryption here, right? It's also important when you look. So the bottom line is, so these are the considerations we will look at it. This is the way the ecosystem looks like as a whole. Okay? I know that a lot of components here, I just praise, but the bottom line is you understand these things. And then if you look for Alibaba cloud, okay, else we do have this connected ecosystem under DataWorks. You could use and experiment this, whatever I explained here. Okay. And the next thing is I just want to touch base our machine learning platform as well, very, very high level. So basically, as I said again, the platform for AI, which is specifically for machine learning and deep learning, so we do have the computing engine behind the scene. And then we have three offerings. Basically, we have auto learning, which is a ready-made solutions available. For example, image recognition, OCR capabilities that you can ready-made use there. You don't need to really train the model or use it. You can just use it there. And the PyStudio, which is basically interactive development mode. So basically, workshop is nothing but our Jupyter notebook, hosted Jupyter notebook, a Python notebook in Alibaba Cloud. Okay, all important. Once you have this model ready, you can deploy into an API platform that can expose back to your customer space. So it's a very high level again. So understand the components which is really there. So most importantly, a complete SDLC lifecycle of your machine learning or deep learning, business scenarios, and then you should be able to deploy that into a GPU or CPU instance of API. And then now you think about it, I'm talking more in technology here, but when you translate this into a business scenario, you could relate that. Let me quickly put into two architecture. I think I'm almost done with my time. I have two more slides to go. One is, I just want to show you, let's say, for example, you have a scenario where you need to perform real-time analytics. For example, you have requirements to do a security anomalies detection, right? As part of your business scenario. That means the data has to come real time. Let's say it's come back to a message queue, for example. Let's say in this case, I'm putting Kafka message queue. And then it needs to do the analytics using Apache Flink or serverless Flink or real-time processing. And then it requires to access a model which you developed earlier, right? That means you have a trained model which you created for anomaly detection that could be invoked from this, analytics. And then this can feed down back to your result. This is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you look at it, this is a real-time flow. To do that, you need to do some more things. That's why you have this flow here. So if you look at here, you need to, you need to have your data feed down, you have to train your model, deploy that model as an API here, 8, 9, 10, which allows you to access data as an API. And behind the scene, again, a typical reporting and data transformation, you could look at this 11, 12, 13 as well. But again, so the same building blocks I explained earlier, but this is one of the scenarios. The people use this using a real-time computing instance, invoking the decision-making models real-time. Behind the scene, you process the data, transform the data for your reporting and dashboard purpose as well. Okay, I have one more reference architecture. Again, so this is a in this case, I put a credit finance decision reference architecture. It may or may not be a typical financial credit finance decision. The whole point is when you look at the workflow here, right, the customer invoke, like basically you have an application, data is there, data is feeding down to Alibaba cloud ecosystem. And then this data, the insights has been derived as exposed an API. And then what happens when a customer applies for a loan? In this case, it could be anything. You have performing an action online, and then the website invoke an API to a decision engine framework. As you remember when I told the first service, I talked to you about decision engine service. You can define various business rules. That means you can define the business rule in decision engine. On top of that, you can get the insights from the bottom layer, whatever APIs you can call. And then it goes back to your decision, back to your business system. Again, you don't need to follow the details completely here. The bottom line is using these building blocks, irrespective of our core building blocks or ready-to-use services, you could create your business scenarios, right? That is the key important thing. You could always engage with us. We can discuss it separately on that, the detailed journey. But the point is, when you look for a vendor, you look for the platform, you really need to understand the building blocks capabilities they have. You need to understand what is the theoretical building blocks you require. You really need to do the mapping there and see how fit the platform, how fit the vendor is there, right? And then you plan your journey accordingly. Right? That's more important. So I'm going to my last slide there. Last slide is sort of some takeaway points. I know that this is very, very short session, so it may not be enough to understand the detail, but the point is, I would like to highlight is a one-stop platform for all your business analytics needs. It's a smart development platform. That means so all this platform is being created via, visual way of working it. It's the cloud native serverless platform. And then you have a lot of data governance function and a lot of ready to use AI service for various business scenarios. With this, I'm good with my session. I'll stay back. If you have any questions, you can always ask me at this time.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sijukumar, for that wonderful session. Well, in interest of time, we won't be able to take up any questions because we do have our next speaker waiting. But Siju, I'd really like to thank you for your wonderful session. And also, Siju, I think the best way to take forward the conversation would be requesting all our viewers and our attendees to probably visit your booth. I think, that way there could be more conversations taking ahead. So Siju, thank you for your time once again.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.